What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to the world according to Briggs. My name is Briggs, and I have a love-hate relationship with Cinnabon. Actually, there's no hate, and that lack of hate is probably why I have about 10 pounds I need to lose. All right, it's probably closer to 20, could even be 30, but I'm sticking with 10. According to the most recent behavioral risk factor surveillance system data, my God, that sounds like a security company that guards nuclear weapons or something like that, but they actually collect data about obesity and other things, but that's their main thing. They've said that the adult obesity rate now exceeds 35% in 7 of the United States and 30% in 29 other states. In other words, the United States needs to talk to Jenny Craig, Weight Watchers, or whoever else is the trendy weight loss system currently. There are a ton of reasons a person becomes obese. Genetics, food addiction, poor nutritional education, you live in an apartment building between a Taco Bell, McDonald's, and a Krispy Kreme across the street. That's just to name a few. Now, I had always heard that the United States was the most obese country in the world. They're not. It's actually a little tiny island called Nauru, which I'm sure I mispronounced, so forgive me. It's out there in the middle of the ocean between the Marshall and Solomon Islands. There's only 13,000 residents on the island, and they're leading the world in obese people, per capita, obviously. It's like this little island of fishermen. What is going on here? Is this like the only place on Earth you could actually fish for cheesecake or something? Don't judge me. The United States was ranked actually 16th in that study. That was back in 2018. That's not great, but it's really not terrible. Most of the United States has been getting healthier over the last decade or so. People are exercising more. Traditionally unhealthy fast food places are attempting to offer a healthier portion to their menu, and people are becoming more educated about their food choices. And then you have the rest of the country that ain't falling for that nonsense. They have decided that big is beautiful, and they're sticking to it no matter what their doctor tells them about their heart. So let's find out where all this is going on in my top 10 most obese states. Number 10, Ohio. The fast food chain Wendy's was founded in Columbus in 1969, and now their square meat has spread all across the country. This may be why the obesity rate is extremely high at 32.8%. It seems the residents here may need to trade the Baconator and fries for a baked potato and chives. They kind of rhymed. How'd you like that? That was pretty cool. They can become a rapper. Anyway, when you look at Columbus, Ohio, these days, they don't really seem to be too far away from healthy. They have a younger population that has a lot to live for, it seems. Cleveland and Ohio act like they'd be okay to check out tomorrow. Cleveland and Ohio treat exercise like a fourth cousin. They know they're out there, but they really aren't interested in looking them up or getting to know them really well. Of course, unless there's money involved, then they're more than willing to meet with them. Number 9, Indiana. Indiana is a corn state. It is the leading producer of the crop in the entire country. With corn comes corn syrup, high fructose corn syrup. High fructose corn syrup has been described as being worse than refined sugar. In case that means nothing to you, it means it's incredibly bad for you. And from their obesity rate, I think they've decided that drinking straight corn syrup with a whipped cream chaser is just as good as an energy drink. And that also is probably why their obesity rate has been climbing and currently sits at 33.6% of the population being obese. Number 8, Texas. Everything is said to be bigger in Texas. That includes waistlines, appetites, and lines at barbecue joints. We know this since the adult obesity rate is about 33.9%, and only 1% of those who struggle with obesity say they're active on a regular basis. Texas is crazy about sports, baseball and football, and hunting, pretty much. The high school football stadiums here are insane. These people are crazy about football. You'd think that a major college was playing football at some of these stadiums. They're so nice. The thing is, after high school, most of those kids that love to play football go just as hard into watching football and drinking beer. A lot of people in Texas are on track to a premature death from hypertension. Number 7, South Carolina. The obesity rate in South Carolina doesn't seem to stop growing. Currently, it's at 34.1%. About 28% of the population admits not being very active, and South Carolina is one of the top states for diabetes and hypertension. It's gotta be the barbecue. They have some of the best barbecue in the country. They have 2 styles of sauce as opposed to most places that just have the one style, the tomato-based sauce. In South Carolina, they have a mustard-based style as well. It all sounds a little weird until you try it, and you'll love it. At least I do. I know a lot of people do. Anyway, I brought this up in a past video, the mustard sauce thing. And of course, we had some dude give us some speech about how he's lived in South Carolina since before the Civil War and he's never heard of it, so therefore it doesn't exist. Like 50 people put Googled recipes and website links in the reply. The dude deleted the comment a couple days later and then blocked me. Classic. Number 6, Alabama. Being a southern state, their culture almost surrounds itself in food. The stereotypical southern grandmother is always trying to feed anyone that walks in her door. While this is looked at as good hospitality and caring, it's also probably why most high schools have a hard time finding lighter weight wrestlers. They need to sit some of these grandmas down and have a long chat with them, since the obesity rate is extremely high at 36.3%. But what do you expect when you have a state that has some of the best fried chicken on the planet? You find a way to fried chicken that's healthy, these people will build a statue in your honor, I promise you. Number 5, Tennessee. If you didn't know the people of Tennessee were a little overweight, slow down next time you drive through. You'll see it, I promise. The obesity rate among children and teens here is worse than the adults, which is not a common trend. The childhood obesity rate is 38.5%, while the adult obesity rate is 32.8%. Southerners do tend to have large, fattening meals. Maybe the kids eat free everywhere in the state, I don't know, but that's pretty bad. A lot of it obviously has to do with the southern diet. There's a lot of deep fried stuff, part of their culture, it's part of their lifestyle, and that's why a lot of southern states end up on lists like this. And during the summer, oh man, it's too hot to exercise outdoors most of the time. Number 4, Kentucky. Kentucky is the worst state for physical activity. Some residents here consider walking to the mailbox their physical activity for the day. And if they gotta bring mail back, they feel like they've overdone it. I read a story about a kid who snapped a tendon in his elbow playing Mario Kart in Owensboro, Kentucky a couple years back. It was probably a Wii, and he's one of those kids that had to tilt his body when he plays. I do that sometimes, but apparently he was going a little overboard and snapped a tendon. Normally that's for like professional weightlifters or something like that, where you snap a tendon. Apparently this kid was so out of shape, Mario Kart just pushed the body too far. Anyway, about 34.4% of the state's population admits to having little or no physical activity most days. This helps keep their population horribly plump, and their obesity rate is 37.1%. 37% of the people here are considered obese. Number 3, Arkansas. Not only does Arkansas rank 3rd in obesity, but also 3rd in least active. Putting on a t-shirt in this state is just as exhausting as an hour of CrossFit to anyone else. The obesity rate is always climbing here, and currently it's 38%, while 32.5% of the population admit to being very inactive. This, combined with poor eating habits, is how the obesity problem here seems to keep evolving. That's pretty much the only thing that evolves in Arkansas. This, of course, excludes the Fayetteville, Springdale, Rogers area up in that northwestern section of the state. They really aren't like the rest of Arkansas. They have jobs, okay schools, and gyms people actually go to. Number 2, Mississippi, or I like to call it Mississippi sometimes just to drive the locals crazy. But besides the cornucopia of other problems this state has, Mississippi has more than doubled its obesity rate in the last 30 years. In 1990, the obesity rate here was a shockingly 16%, while the US average was about 11%. Today, it's an incredibly high rate of 38.1%. It may be because of the southern food and the extra helpings of fried everything, but probably the main reason is the lack of health education. Now, you probably wonder why it would jump since 1990 from 16% to 38%. Now, it probably didn't double the amount of people that were actually obese. What they did over the years, they've lowered what's considered obese since, I'd say, the 1970s. The 1970s, you had to be, 5'7" and 400 pounds to be considered obese. Well, that's slowly going down till if you're 25, 30 pounds overweight, they consider you obese. So it's a weird stat, but that's why that jumped that much. But still, those aren't good numbers. And number 1, West Virginia. As of the most recent data, West Virginia is the most obese state in the country. The obesity rate here is 38.6%. They've had other things to worry about in the last decade or so. In the opioid department, West Virginia has done a great job. They're still fighting a good fight, but how far they've come is just amazing. In my opinion, it's the state working hard and the people having a sense of community. They help each other out. It got out of control for a while, and it's like a lot of the normal everyday citizens are going out of their way to help fix this situation. West Virginia is a great state with some of the best down-to-earth people you will ever find. The thing is, they've had some serious curveballs thrown their way over the last 20 years or so, and if leading the country in this category while they work on other things, it's fine. They'll eventually turn the corner on everything, I'm sure. But yeah, West Virginia is the most obese state in the country. Now here's the thing about this list. When you're obese, it's a health concern. If you're happy with who you are, don't worry about it. That's fine. Live your life how you want, how you feel comfortable, how you're happy. It's just the health part that's all you gotta worry about. I mean, be happy whoever you are, just worry about your health. And obesity is a big part of it. Anyway, so that's my list. I hope you guys enjoy the top 10 most obese states in the country. Don't forget all the links below. Buy a t-shirt, leave me a comment, give me a big thumbs up. Everybody have a great day. Be nice to each other.